Are you tired of relationships that drain you more than they give? Do you wonder if you should distance yourself from certain people in your life? Well, look no further. In this video, we're exploring 12 signs. It might be time to cut ties, based on the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. We'll draw on the timeless wisdom of the likes of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, offering practical insights on how to identify toxic relationships and how to safely break free. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with a deeper understanding of Stoicism and have the tools you need to reevaluate your relationships and make bold decisions for your happiness and well-being. So, get ready to empower your life and surround yourself with people who truly lift you up. Let's get started. Lesson 1. The Respect Finder, and why you shouldn't settle for less. All right, let's get real for a minute. We all want to be respected, right? It's not just about good manners. It's about feeling valued for who we are. The ancient Stoics were all over this concept. They saw respect as tied to the virtue of justice, treating others fairly, and recognizing their inherent dignity. Think of it like this. Respect is the VIP pass to a healthy relationship. Without it, you're stuck in the emotional equivalent of a middle school dance, awkward, uncomfortable, and nobody wants to be there. Why respect matters, like really matters. In Stoic philosophy, every interaction is a chance to practice virtues like wisdom and justice. When someone disrespects you, they're not just being rude, they're messing with your ability to live a good life. It's like trying to meditate while someone's blasting heavy metal next door. Not gonna happen. Imagine your friend constantly makes jokes at your expense, or your partner dismisses your feelings. It's not just annoying, it chips away at your self-worth. And guess what? The Stoics wouldn't stand for it. The disrespect radar. How to spot the signs. Disrespect can be sneaky, so keep an eye out for these red flags. Condescending comments. "Oh, you wouldn't understand," or "That's cute that you think that." Ignoring your boundaries. Pushing your limits even after you've said no. Blaming you for their problems, making you the scapegoat for their own issues. Gaslighting. Making you doubt your own sanity or memory. General dismissiveness, ignoring your opinions, feelings, or needs. The Stoic way to deal with disrespect. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to get revenge or stew in anger. Nope, they were all about responding with reason and emotional detachment. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, would probably say something like, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." Modern spin. This doesn't mean being a doormat. It means recognizing that you have the power to control your reaction. You can choose to walk away, set boundaries, or have a calm conversation about the issue. As Maya Angelou put it, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Why cutting ties might be the Stoic and smart move. Stoicism isn't about putting up with crap. It's about living in alignment with your values. If someone consistently disrespects you, they're not just a bad influence, they're an obstacle to your personal growth. As Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Bottom line, if a relationship feels more like a constant battle than a source of joy and support, it might be time to reevaluate. You deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not drag you down. If you liked this video or found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button. Share it with your family and friends, and write, "Keep it up," in the comments below. Thank you very much for your continued support. Lesson 2. Your emotional bouncer, keeping the mental party positive. Let's be honest, folks. We all have that one friend or family member who's like an emotional black hole. You know, the type who leaves you feeling drained and exhausted after every interaction. Maybe they're a chronic complainer, a drama magnet, or just someone who constantly brings you down. The Stoics were way ahead of the curve on this one. They understood that our mental well-being is precious, and it's our responsibility to protect it. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." In other words, choose your company wisely. Your mental health is not a joke. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding and managing them. The Stoics believed in cultivating inner tranquility, a state of calm and peace that's not easily shaken by external events. If someone consistently throws your mental health off balance, they're messing with your Stoic game. Imagine you're trying to build a sandcastle, but someone keeps kicking it down. That's what it's like when someone constantly stresses you out or makes you feel bad about yourself. It's not just annoying, it's actively harming your mental well-being. The emotional drain, recognizing the signs. Here's how to know if someone is a mental health hazard. You feel anxious or stressed around them. Your gut tells you something's off, and you can't relax in their presence. They leave you feeling emotionally exhausted. Conversations feel like a chore, and you need a nap afterward. They trigger negative thoughts and feelings. You start doubting yourself or feeling down after interacting with them. They're always the victim. Everything is always someone else's fault, and they never take responsibility for their own actions. They're emotionally volatile. Their moods are unpredictable, and you feel like you're walking on eggshells around them. The Stoic way to protect your mental peace. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to suffer in silence. They'd say, "Hey, you have the power to choose who you let into your life." Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who inspire positive thoughts." Modern spin. Setting boundaries is your superpower. You don't have to put up with toxic behavior. As Brené Brown, a modern-day researcher on vulnerability and shame, says, "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. Why it's okay to say goodbye, even if it's hard." Stoicism is about living a life of virtue and wisdom. If someone consistently disrupts your mental peace, they're not helping you achieve that goal. It's like trying to run a marathon with a 50-pound backpack. It's just not sustainable. Bottom line, your mental health is your responsibility. Don't be afraid to distance yourself from people who are toxic to your well-being. It's not selfish, it's an act of self-preservation. And remember, as the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone compromise your inner peace. Lesson 3. The values check. Are you and your crew on the same wavelength? All right, let's talk values. What are those, you ask? They're the things that matter most to you, the guiding principles that shape your decisions and actions. Think of them like your internal compass, pointing you towards what you believe is a good and meaningful life. Now here's the thing. When your values clash with someone else's, it can feel like two tectonic plates grinding against each other. The Stoics were big on harmony and personal integrity, and they knew that misaligned values could cause some serious internal earthquakes. Why values matter more than your favorite band. The Stoics believed that living in accordance with your values is key to inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." If you're hanging out with people who don't share your core values, it's like trying to build a house on shaky ground. Imagine you value honesty above all else, but your best friend is a pathological liar. Or maybe you're passionate about social justice, but your partner constantly makes offensive jokes. These misalignments create tension and can make it hard to feel truly connected. The Values Compass: How to Find Your True North. Before you can figure out if someone else's values align with yours, you need to know what yours are. Here are a few questions to get you started. What qualities do you admire most in others? What issues or causes are you passionate about? What are your deal breakers in a relationship? What kind of person do you want to be? Once you have a good grasp of your own values, you can start to assess whether the people in your life are on the same page. The Stoic way to deal with value clashes. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to ditch your friends or family just because you have different values. They'd encourage open and honest communication. As Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Modern spin. Talk it out. Have a respectful conversation about your values and see if there's any common ground. Maybe you can find a way to coexist peacefully, even if you don't see eye to eye on everything. As the Dalai Lama wisely said, compassion and tolerance are not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. When it's time to part ways, and how to do it with grace. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the values gap is just too wide. It's like trying to mix oil and water. It's just not going to work. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to prioritize your own well-being and moral integrity. Bottom line, you don't have to sacrifice your values to maintain a relationship. If someone consistently undermines your principles or makes you feel like you're compromising who you are, it might be time to move on. Remember, as the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone dim your light. If you liked this video or found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your family and friends, and write "Keep it up" in the comments below. Thank you very much for your continued support. Lesson 4: The Energy Vampire Slayer, Reclaiming Your Zing. Let's talk about energy vampires. No, not the sparkly kind from Twilight. We're talking about those people who suck the life out of you, leaving you feeling drained, depleted, and reaching for the coffee pot or wine bottle. The ancient Stoics were onto this phenomenon way before we had fancy terms for it. They understood the importance of conserving our energy and using it wisely. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." He wasn't just talking about smarts, he was talking about the overall vibe. Why your energy is your most valuable currency. Stoicism isn't about being an emotionless robot. It's about understanding that our energy is finite and we need to protect it. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, and that includes our own nature. If someone consistently leaves you feeling like you've run a marathon, they're disrupting that harmony. Think about the last time you hung out with someone who complained non-stop or who always seemed to be in the middle of some drama. How did you feel afterward? Probably not great. That's because they were feeding off your energy, leaving you feeling drained and depleted. Spotting the energy vampires in your life. Energy vampires come in all shapes and sizes. Here are a few common types. The Debbie Downer. They always see the negative in everything and can turn a sunny day into a thunderstorm. The Drama Llama. Their life is a soap opera, and they need you to be their audience. The Narcissist. It's always all about them, and they have no interest in your needs or feelings. The Controller. They try to micromanage your life and make you feel guilty if you don't do things their way. The User. They only want you around when they need something, and they have no problem taking advantage of your generosity. The Stoic strategy for dealing with energy vampires. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to become a hermit and avoid all human contact, but they would advise you to be selective about who you spend your time with. As Epictetus said, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Modern spin. Setting boundaries is your best friend. You don't have to be rude, but you can politely decline invitations, limit your time with certain people, or steer conversations away from negative topics. As the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose those 5 people wisely. Why it's okay to unplug from the draining relationships. Stoicism is about living a fulfilling and meaningful life. If someone is constantly draining your energy, they're not helping you achieve that goal. It's like trying to charge your phone with a dead battery. It's just not going to work. Bottom line, you have the right to protect your energy. If someone is consistently leaving you feeling exhausted and depleted, it's okay to distance yourself. It's not selfish. It's an act of self-care. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone dim your light. Lesson 5. The BS Detector. How to spot and ditch the manipulators in your life. Let's be real. We've all encountered those people who seem to have a knack for getting what they want, even if it means bending the truth or playing with our emotions. They're like emotional ninjas, skilled in the art of manipulation. The Stoics were no strangers to this kind of behavior. They valued authenticity and truthfulness above all else. Manipulation in their eyes was a serious offense against reason and virtue. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Appearances to the mind are of 4 kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are, nor appear to be, or they are, and do not appear to be, or they are not, and yet appear to be. Rightly to aim in all these cases is the wise man's task." In other words, don't be fooled by appearances. Seek the truth. Why manipulation is a Stoic's worst nightmare. Stoicism is all about living in accordance with nature and reason. Manipulation is the opposite of that. It's about twisting reality to serve someone else's agenda, often at your expense. This can lead you down a path that's not in your best interest, clouding your judgment and hindering your personal growth. Imagine you're driving down the road and someone keeps messing with your GPS, sending you in the wrong direction. That's what manipulation feels like. It can make you doubt yourself, question your reality, and make decisions you wouldn't normally make. The Manipulation Playbook. Recognizing the tactics. Manipulators are masters of disguise, but here are a few of their favorite tricks. Gaslighting. making you question your own sanity or memory. You're being too sensitive. You're imagining things. Guilt, tripping, making you feel bad for not doing what they want. If you really loved me, you would. Playing the victim, trying to gain your sympathy to get what they want. Nobody understands me. I'm always the one who has to sacrifice. Love bombing, showering you with affection and attention, only to withdraw it later as a form of control. Passive aggression, expressing hostility indirectly through backhanded compliments, sarcasm, or silent treatment. The Stoic strategy for dealing with manipulation, ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to fight fire with fire. They'd say, stick to your principles, stay true to yourself, and don't let anyone mess with your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Modern spin. Setting boundaries is key. Don't be afraid to say no, call out manipulative behavior, or walk away from a toxic situation. As the contemporary philosopher and author Brené Brown puts it, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Be clear about what you will and won't tolerate. Why cutting ties with manipulators is a power move. Stoicism is about living a life of integrity and authenticity. If someone is constantly trying to manipulate you, they're not respecting your autonomy or your right to make your own choices. It's like being in a relationship with a puppeteer. You're not truly free. Bottom line, you deserve to be in relationships with people who treat you with respect and honesty. If someone is consistently trying to manipulate you, it's okay to cut them loose. It's not about being cold-hearted. It's about protecting your mental well-being and staying true to your values. Remember, as the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone compromise yours. Lesson 6. The trust factor. Why it's the glue that holds relationships together and how to spot when it's missing. Let's talk about trust, the cornerstone of any solid relationship. It's not just about believing someone won't betray you. It's about feeling safe, secure, and able to be your authentic self. The Stoics were all about trust. They saw it as a key component of the virtue of justice, which emphasizes fairness, honesty, and reliability. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "Trust is the greatest bond of society." In other words, trust is the glue that holds everything together. Why trust is non-negotiable in relationships. Stoicism is about living in accordance with reason and virtue. Trust is essential for both. When you trust someone, you believe they'll act in a way that's consistent with their values and your well-being. Without trust, relationships become shaky ground, filled with doubt and uncertainty. Imagine trying to build a house on a foundation of sand. It's not going to last. The same goes for relationships built on a lack of trust. You'll always be second-guessing their motives, questioning their actions, and feeling insecure. The trust test. How to gauge the strength of your bond. Trust isn't built overnight, and it can be tricky to assess. Here are some questions to ask yourself. Do they keep their promises? If they say they'll do something, do they follow through? Are they honest and transparent? Do they communicate openly, or do they keep secrets and hide things from you? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they listen when you say no, or do they push your limits? Do you feel safe and secure around them? Can you be yourself without fear of judgment or criticism? Do you feel like they have your back? Do they support you and have your best interests at heart? The Stoic approach to rebuilding broken trust. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to blindly trust everyone. They'd say, be discerning, observe their actions, and see if they align with their words. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Modern spin. If trust has been broken, it's not the end of the world, but it's important to address the issue head-on. Have an honest conversation about what went wrong and see if there's a way to rebuild trust. As Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships. When to walk away and how to do it with stoic grace. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, trust can't be repaired. It's like trying to glue together a shattered vase. It might look okay on the surface, but it'll never be the same. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to prioritize your own well-being. Bottom line, trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship. If it's consistently broken, it's okay to walk away. It's not about holding a grudge. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be in relationships where you feel safe, respected, and valued. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't compromise your integrity for the sake of a broken relationship. If you liked this video or found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button. Share it with your family and friends, and write "Keep it up" in the comments below. Thank you very much for your continued support. Lesson 7. The Abuse Alarm. When to draw the line and walk away. Let's get serious for a moment. Abuse is a heavy topic, but it's one we can't ignore. Whether it's physical, emotional, or verbal, abuse is never okay. The Stoics were crystal clear on this point. Treating others with respect and dignity is non-negotiable. In the world of Stoicism, enduring abuse isn't a badge of honor. It's a violation of your core values. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, emphasized the importance of maintaining one's inner citadel, a place of strength and resilience that can't be breached by external forces, including abuse. Why abuse is a Stoic deal-breaker. Stoicism is about living a virtuous life, and that means treating yourself and others with respect. Abuse in any form is the antithesis of this principle. It's a blatant disregard for human dignity and a direct attack on your well-being. Imagine someone constantly throwing darts at you. It doesn't matter if they're saying, "I'm sorry," while they do it. The pain is still real, and it's damaging your body and spirit. Abuse is the same way. It leaves scars, both visible and invisible, and it erodes your sense of self-worth. Recognizing the red flags of abuse can be subtle, so it's important to be aware of the signs. Physical abuse. Any unwanted physical contact, including hitting, kicking, pushing, or restraining. Emotional abuse. Humiliation, intimidation, isolation, manipulation, or constant criticism. Verbal abuse. Name-calling, insults, threats, or belittling remarks. Financial abuse. Controlling your finances, withholding money, or preventing you from working. Digital abuse. Harassment, stalking, or controlling behavior through technology. It's important to remember that abuse is never your fault. It's not a sign of weakness to seek help or to remove yourself from a dangerous situation. The Stoic response to abuse: protect yourself, seek help, and heal. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to turn the other cheek. They'd say, protect yourself, seek justice, and don't let anyone violate your boundaries. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Take a step back, assess the situation, and make a rational decision about how to proceed." Modern spin. If you're experiencing abuse, reach out to someone you trust, a friend, family member, therapist, or a hotline. There are resources available to help you get to safety and begin the healing process. As Maya Angelou famously said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." Why leaving is an act of courage and self-love. Stoicism is about living in alignment with your values. If someone is abusing you, they're not just violating your boundaries, they're violating your core principles. Staying in an abusive situation is not stoic, it's self-destructive. Bottom line, you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. If someone is abusing you, it's okay to walk away. It's not a sign of weakness, it's an act of strength and self-love. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Lesson 8. The Growth Guru: leveling up your life and ditching those who hold you back. All right, let's talk about growth. Not the kind that happens to your hair or nails, though that's important too. We're talking about personal growth, the kind that happens when you learn, evolve, and become a better version of yourself. The Stoics were all about this. They saw life as a continuous journey of self-improvement, and they believed that our relationships should play a crucial role in that journey. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." But what if the people around you aren't exactly cheering you on? Why growth is non-negotiable, and how relationships can help or hinder it. Stoicism isn't about staying stagnant, it's about striving for excellence in all areas of life. This includes our relationships. The Stoics believed in the concept of synergia, which means working together for mutual benefit. In other words, our relationships should be a source of support and encouragement as we strive to become the best versions of ourselves. Imagine you're trying to climb a mountain, but the people you're with keep trying to pull you back down. That's what it's like when the people in your life don't support your growth. They might be jealous, insecure, or simply content with mediocrity. Whatever the reason, they're holding you back from reaching your full potential. The Growth Meter: assessing your relationships. Take a look at your closest relationships. Are they helping you grow, or are they hindering your progress? Here are some questions to ask yourself. Do they challenge you to be better? Do they encourage you to step outside your comfort zone and try new things? Do they offer constructive feedback? Do they help you see your blind spots and areas where you can improve? Do they celebrate your successes? Are they genuinely happy for you when you achieve something? Do they support your goals and dreams? Do they believe in you and your potential? Do you feel inspired and motivated after spending time with them? Or do you feel drained and discouraged? The Stoic approach to nurturing growth in relationships. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to ditch everyone who doesn't perfectly align with your goals. They'd encourage open communication and a willingness to learn from each other. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Modern spin. Talk to your friends and family about your goals and aspirations. Let them know how they can support you. Be open to their feedback and suggestions, even if you don't always agree with them. Remember, as the personal development guru Jim Rohn famously said, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose your circle wisely." When it's time to move on, and how to do it with grace. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a relationship becomes stagnant. It's like a plant that stopped growing. It's not dead, but it's not thriving either. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to reevaluate the relationship and consider whether it's still serving your needs. Bottom line. You deserve to be in relationships that nourish your soul and help you grow. If someone is holding you back, it's okay to move on. It's not about being selfish. It's about prioritizing your personal development and well-being. Remember, as the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone stunt your growth. Lesson 9. The Me, Myself, and I meter. Navigating selfishness in relationships, the Stoic way. Let's talk about selfishness. We all know the type. The friend who always has to pick the restaurant, the partner who never asks about your day, the colleague who takes credit for your work. They're like human black holes, sucking up all the attention and leaving nothing for anyone else. The Stoics had a word for this: egoism. They believed that true happiness comes from living in harmony with others, not from putting our own needs above everyone else's. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "That which is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." In other words, what's bad for the group is bad for the individual. Why selfishness is a relationship wrecking ball. Stoicism emphasizes virtues like generosity, fairness, and reciprocity. These virtues are essential for building strong, healthy relationships. When selfishness takes over, it's like a virus, infecting the relationship and causing it to deteriorate. Imagine you're on a seesaw with someone who insists on always being on the up end. It's not fun, is it? That's what it's like to be in a relationship with a selfish person. They take and take, but they never give back. This creates resentment, frustration, and eventually a breakdown in the relationship. Spotting the signs of a selfish soul. Selfishness can be subtle, so it's important to be aware of the signs. One-sided conversations. They talk about themselves non-stop, but they never seem interested in what you have to say. Lack of empathy. They don't seem to care about your feelings or needs. Always taking, never giving. They're always asking for favors, but they never offer to help you in return. Disregard for your boundaries. They push your limits and don't respect your personal space or time. A sense of entitlement. They believe they deserve special treatment and get angry or resentful when they don't get their way. The Stoic strategy for dealing with selfishness. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to cut all selfish people out of your life, although sometimes that's the best option. They'd encourage you to approach the situation with wisdom and compassion. As Seneca said, "It's not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Try to understand the root of their selfishness and see if there's a way to help them find more balance. Modern spin. Setting boundaries is key. Let the selfish person know what you will and won't tolerate. Be assertive, but also be kind. Remember, as the Dalai Lama said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. When to say, enough is enough, and how to do it with Stoic strength. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a selfish person won't change. They might be so consumed by their own needs that they're unable to see how their behavior is affecting others. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to prioritize your own well-being. Bottom line, you don't have to put up with selfish behavior. If someone is consistently taking more than they give, it's okay to distance yourself. It's not about being vengeful. It's about protecting your own happiness and peace of mind. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let someone else's selfishness diminish yours. Lesson 10. The Conversation Cleanse. Ditching destructive dialogue. Let's talk about communication, the lifeblood of any relationship. It's not just about exchanging information. It's about connecting, understanding, and building trust. But what happens when communication becomes a weapon instead of a tool? The Stoics were masters of communication. They believed that our words should reflect our virtues, and that we have a responsibility to use language in a way that uplifts and supports others. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But what happens when someone doesn't get that memo? Why destructive communication is a Stoic? No. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of reason, wisdom, and virtue in all aspects of life, including communication. Destructive communication, such as insults, criticism, sarcasm, and negativity, goes against these principles. It creates conflict, erodes trust, and damages relationships. Imagine someone constantly throwing verbal daggers at you. It hurts, right? Destructive communication can leave emotional scars and make you feel unsafe and unvalued. It's like trying to have a conversation during a hurricane. There's too much noise and chaos to connect. Decoding destructive dialogue. Recognizing the signs. Destructive communication can be subtle or overt. Here are some common red flags. Constant criticism. They nitpick everything you do and make you feel like you can't do anything right. Sarcasm and put-downs. They use humor as a weapon to belittle and humiliate you. Blaming and accusing. They always make you the bad guy and never take responsibility for their own actions. Interrupting and talking over you. They don't value your opinions or give you a chance to speak. Stonewalling and silent treatment. They shut down communication as a way to punish or control you. The Stoic strategy for communication repair. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to yell back or give them a taste of their own medicine. They'd advise you to respond with reason, calmness, and a focus on understanding. As Marcus Aurelius said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" Modern spin. Communication is a two-way street. Try to understand where the other person is coming from, even if you don't agree with them. Use I statements to express your feelings without blaming or accusing. As the communication expert Marshall Rosenberg said, "Non-violent communication is a language of life." When to walk away, and how to do it with Stoic dignity. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, destructive communication patterns persist. It's like trying to have a conversation with a brick wall, frustrating and pointless. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to protect your own well-being. Bottom line, you don't have to tolerate communication that makes you feel bad. It's okay to set boundaries, walk away, or even end the relationship if necessary. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let someone else's destructive communication chip away at yours. If you liked this video or found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your family and friends, and write "Keep it up" in the comments below. Thank you very much for your continued support. Lesson 11. The Needs Navigator. Charting a course for mutual respect and ditching those who don't. Let's talk about needs. We all have them: physical, emotional, mental. They're not just wants, they're essential for our well-being and happiness. But what happens when someone consistently ignores or dismisses your needs? The Stoics were all about self-respect and boundaries. They understood that healthy relationships require a balance of give and take, and that both people's needs should be acknowledged and respected. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means taking ownership of your needs and not allowing others to trample on them. Why your needs matter, and why it's not selfish to assert them. Stoicism isn't about denying your needs. It's about understanding them and communicating them effectively. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, and that includes our human nature, which has certain needs for survival and well-being. Ignoring those needs is like trying to run a car without gas. It's not going to work. Imagine you're starving, but your friend keeps insisting on going to a museum instead of getting food. Or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, but your partner keeps piling on more tasks and responsibilities. This disregard for your needs can leave you feeling resentful, frustrated, and ultimately disconnected from the other person. The needs assessment. Recognizing when your needs aren't being met. It's not always easy to recognize when your needs are being ignored, especially if you're used to putting others first. Here are some signs to watch out for. You feel unheard and unseen. Your thoughts, feelings, and opinions are consistently dismissed or ignored. Your boundaries are constantly violated. The other person doesn't respect your limits or personal space. You're always the one making sacrifices. You constantly put their needs above your own, and it's taking a toll on your well-being. You feel resentful and unappreciated. You're giving a lot, but you're not getting anything in return. You're starting to lose yourself. You're so focused on meeting their needs that you've forgotten what your own needs are. The Stoic strategy for needs negotiation. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to suppress your needs or pretend they don't exist. They'd encourage you to communicate them clearly and assertively. As Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Modern spin. Talk to the person about how their behavior is making you feel. Use I statements to express your needs without blaming or accusing. As the relationship therapist Esther Perel says, the quality of your relationship ultimately depends on the quality of your conversations. When to set sail for smoother waters. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the other person won't budge. They might be so self-centered that they're incapable of seeing things from your perspective. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to prioritize your own well-being. Bottom line. Your needs are valid, and you deserve to be in relationships where they are acknowledged and respected. If someone consistently disregards your needs, it's okay to distance yourself. It's not about being selfish. It's about taking care of yourself and setting healthy boundaries. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone make you feel like your needs don't matter. Lesson 12. The Accountability Audit. Building relationships that go the distance and ditching those that don't. Let's talk about accountability. It's not just for spreadsheets and performance reviews. It's a fundamental building block of healthy relationships. Think of it like the two wheels on a bicycle. If one isn't working properly, the whole thing goes off balance. The Stoics were big on accountability. They believed that taking responsibility for our actions is a key virtue, and that relationships should be based on mutual respect and trust. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means owning up to your mistakes, learning from them, and making amends when necessary. Why accountability is the relationship MVP, most valuable principle. Stoicism is about living a virtuous life, and that means being accountable for your actions. When you're accountable, you build trust, strengthen your relationships, and foster an environment of mutual respect. Imagine you're on a team project and one person never pulls their weight. It's frustrating, right? It creates resentment, undermines teamwork, and ultimately leads to failure. The same goes for relationships. When one person isn't accountable, it creates an imbalance that can poison the entire dynamic. The accountability assessment, checking the pulse of your relationships. How do you know if a relationship lacks accountability? Here are some red flags. Blame shifting. They always find someone else to blame for their mistakes or shortcomings. Excuses. They have a never-ending supply of reasons why they couldn't follow through on their promises. Defensiveness. They get angry or defensive when you try to talk to them about their behavior. Lack of remorse. They don't seem to care when they hurt your feelings or let you down. Repeating patterns of behavior. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again without any attempt to change. The Stoic strategy for restoring accountability. Ancient wisdom. The Stoics wouldn't tell you to give up on someone just because they struggle with accountability. They'd encourage open communication and a willingness to work together to find solutions. As Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Don't let fear of conflict prevent you from addressing the issue. Modern spin. Talk to the person about your concerns. Be specific about the behaviors that are bothering you and explain how their lack of accountability is affecting the relationship. As Brené Brown, a researcher on vulnerability and shame, says, "Clear is kind, unclear is unkind." Be clear about your expectations and what you need from them. When to call it quits and how to do it with Stoic integrity. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the other person won't change. They might be so stuck in their ways that they're unable or unwilling to take responsibility for their actions. In those cases, the Stoics would advise you to prioritize your own well-being. Bottom line, accountability is essential for healthy relationships. If someone consistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions, it's okay to walk away. It's not about being punitive. It's about protecting yourself from the negative consequences of their behavior. As the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let someone else's lack of accountability compromise your own. So there you have it, folks. 12 signs that it might be time to reevaluate those relationships that aren't serving you. Remember, Stoicism isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about living a life of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. Sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer align with those values. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut ties with someone who was toxic to your well-being? What were the signs? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a supportive community where we can learn from each other and grow together. And remember, as the Stoics would say, the only true loss is the loss of your character. Don't let anyone compromise yours.